What if the beginning of something holy was actually the carefully hidden birth of something deeply evil? That is the unsettling foundation of The First Omen, a psychological horror film that explores faith, control, and the terrifying possibility that some destinies are designed long before they are ever discovered. This is not just a story about possession or prophecy. It is about manipulation at a system level, where belief itself becomes a tool. From the opening moments, the film establishes an atmosphere of quiet unease. Everything appears structured, disciplined, and controlled, yet beneath that surface lies something deeply unnatural. The environment is not chaotic. It is organized in a way that feels too intentional, as if every detail exists for a reason that has not yet been revealed. At the center of the story is a young woman whose arrival into a religious institution begins as a search for purpose and belonging. She is drawn into a world that presents itself as sacred and protective. But over time, that sense of safety begins to fracture as she starts noticing inconsistencies that cannot be easily explained. One of the strongest elements of The First Omen is how it uses institutional trust as a source of horror. The characters are not isolated in a traditional sense. Instead, they are surrounded by systems, rules, and authority figures that are meant to provide security. Yet those very structures begin to feel like mechanisms of control. This creates a unique psychological tension. Because when the place you trust for protection becomes the source of fear, there is nowhere left to turn. A major theme in the film is obedience. The characters operate within a strict hierarchy where questioning authority is discouraged and compliance is expected. At first, this structure appears to offer stability. But as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that obedience can also be used to suppress truth. The film gradually reveals that not all instructions are meant for good. Some are designed to prevent discovery. Another key layer is the manipulation of belief. Faith in the film is not simply spiritual. It becomes political, strategic, and deeply psychological. Characters are influenced not only by what they are told, but by what they are not allowed to question. This creates a controlled narrative environment where truth is fragmented and carefully managed. One hidden detail many viewers notice is how visual symbolism is used throughout the film to foreshadow transformation. Repeated imagery suggests cycles, repetition, and inevitability. Nothing feels random. Even subtle background details seem to reinforce the idea that events are part of a predetermined design. This reinforces the central idea of the film, that fate may not be discovered, but constructed. As the protagonist begins to uncover disturbing inconsistencies, her sense of reality starts to shift. What once felt like devotion begins to feel like entrapment. What once felt like guidance begins to feel like direction toward something she never agreed to. This shift is gradual, which makes it more unsettling. Because the danger does not arrive suddenly. It is revealed slowly, piece by piece, until denial is no longer possible. Another important theme is bodily autonomy. The film explores the idea of control over one's own existence, and what it means when that control is challenged by forces claiming authority over destiny itself. This creates a deeply personal form of horror, where the threat is not only external but existential. The question becomes not just what is happening, but who has the right to decide what is happening. As tension builds, the narrative moves toward revelations that connect personal experiences to a much larger hidden framework. The protagonist realizes that she is not simply a witness to events, but a participant in something far older and more deliberate than she initially understood. This realization transforms the story from mystery into inevitability. Because once the structure behind the events is understood, escape becomes far more complicated. The climax of The First Omen brings together its themes of control, faith, and predestination into a confrontation that is less about physical survival and more about understanding the truth too late to change it. The horror is not just what is revealed. It is the realization that the system was already in motion long before the protagonist ever had a choice. The ending is designed to leave a lingering sense of inevitability. Rather than offering resolution, it reinforces the idea that some events are not meant to be prevented, only discovered. What remains is a deep discomfort rooted in the feeling that free will may be more limited than it appears. The final message of the film is not simply about evil forces. It is about structures that allow those forces to exist unnoticed. The First Omen succeeds because it transforms supernatural horror into institutional dread. It suggests that the most frightening systems are not the ones that appear chaotic, but the ones that appear stable while hiding something unimaginable underneath. In the end, the film leaves the audience with a haunting question. If your entire life was carefully shaped by forces you never questioned, how would you ever know the difference between destiny and design? That uncertainty is where the true horror begins. If you enjoyed this analysis and ending explained, don't forget to subscribe to Movie Story Recaps, share this video with fellow horror fans, and let us know in the comments which movie we should cover next.